Hi there, my name's Ollie, I'm a field recordist and sound designer, and welcome back to my channel, Menadu. In today's video, we're popping down to the woods to record some rock impacts, and when we get back, we're going to edit them up and create some interesting sound design out of them. So without further ado, let's hop right in. So the spot I'm heading for is just up that bit. So I'm at the spot now, big old rock bit up there. I'm not throwing it off there because someone might wander down here and I'll kill them. But the spot that I was thinking of doing the tumbles was here. So we've got like a little path bit coming down here, and then a microphone here on this side, and a microphone there on that side, and then also the Usis dotted around here. I haven't got stands for them, but I'm thinking that I might be able to hang them off branches like this. Cool. So in my bag, I've got 5 mics ready to set up. First up is a pair of Behringer C2 mics. These will be on stands either side of the path. Then it's my Usi Pro mics hung off of 2 tree branches. I also have my Geophone stuck in the ground. It's a bit of a test to see if it will pick up any ground vibrations. I'll be throwing the rocks from the top here and getting them to land roughly around this spot. Whoops. And I'm going to get a little bit of a variation in the sounds, well, the recordings, like the performance of the rocks. So I'm going to do a couple where it just throws it and slams here, and then a couple where I roll it down. Hopefully where them blended together, we'll get some massive rock sort of impact. A bit out of breath from running up the hill with the boulders and rocks. What I might have to do next time is bring like a bucket or something that I can roll like a bunch of them down. I'm going to try it now with a bunch of different rocks. Hopefully that'll be like the tail end of the explosion or the drop, because there are loads of little bits rolling around. Finished with the recordings up here, and I think I'm going to go climb that big rock and show you what's up the top. I already went the wrong way. Cool, we're up the top. There you go. Good old view. It's alright. I'm not getting that close to this edge. It's pretty bait. But... hella windy up the top here as well. Jesus. Cup of tea, nice and hot. Getting a wee bit darker now. I'm gonna head back down. So we're back at the desk now, and I've done all of my edits for the rock impacts. I basically just mixed together the 4 different microphones. It turned out the Geophone didn't really pick up anything, so I just stuck with the 2 Behringer mics and the 2 Usi Pros and mixed the levels together to get what I thought sounded good. So if I play through a couple of them now. I was pretty happy with how they came out. They sounded pretty sick in the end. And then I thought I'd find a video that I can do some sound design to. So I've chosen a scene out of, I think it's the First 4 movie. This is just when he just smacks this rock fella in the head with his hammer and the guy explodes. So I'll play that quickly now and you can see. So there you go, you got some nice debris explosion and then some debris falling down on the ground. To start off with, I went through and took a bunch of my rock impacts, just staggered them and tried to get them in time with the image I was seeing on screen. So this is just the basic rock impacts. I'll turn off all the inserts to this. That was me just picking a bunch of the rock impacts and rock drops that fitted the scene. And with that, I've also stacked up a lot of them, not all of them, but a lot of them with octaves. So I just went processes, pitch shift, and pitch shifted a lot of these sounds down an octave and put that underneath the original sound, so it just beefed up the sound a bit more. So as you can see, I went through a lot of them and added an octave underneath, and then a couple more here. These are a bit more of like the foliage bits to add the tail to the sound. And then I also added in a little bit of some debris, soil that I'd recorded, so it got all like the little tiny little bits of rock flying around. So there wasn't really much that I did on that. I added some saturation and EQ'd it a little bit. So if I bring over the EQ, I just wanted to add a bit more body to the sound, so it was a bit more chunky. I put the high end frequencies like wider and then kept the more low end frequencies in the middle. So it's usually a little bit like an upside down triangle. You've got the lows at the bottom, and then it goes a bit more high pitch and you can go a bit wider. So you want to keep a nice strong low end mono like in the middle. So after doing those, the inserts I've got on there are a little bit of EQ and a little bit of saturation. So this was just to make it a little bit crunchier. And I also added OTT, and didn't really add this on a very high percentage. I don't really like it on too high of a percentage, as it just starts sounding a bit wacky. So just bringing it in and massaging it to where you think sounds best. With that, I also added in a kick drum and a little reversed rock. So it just quickly swoops into the sound. So if I play that now, and the kick drum also adds a little bit of a thud to the sound. And you'll also notice I haven't put all of the audio tracks starting at the exact same position. I've sort of separated them a little bit so they have a couple of milliseconds between them all. And it's a little bit like hearing a snare drum. If you hit it with both hands at the same time, it doesn't sound as big as if you hit it with a slight delay. So the slight delay is called a flam when you're playing drums. It just makes it sound a bit chunkier. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Just delayed them sounds a little bit more, and it's a bit more of a satisfactory sound. It's hard to describe. After doing the rock impact, I went on to the rock fall. So if I play the rock fall now, pretty much the same again as the first one, just boosting a little bit more of the low end, because when you're hearing like a rock fall, sort of like rock rumble, it's really bassy and muffled sort of sound. If you hear it when there's like an earthquake on a scene, it's a bit more like the ground shaking and you can feel the vibration, so you're sort of trying to get the idea that it's shaking the ground, if that makes some sense. But the rock fall didn't really do an awful lot. I'd done the octave stacking again, added in a couple more recordings that I had of debris and wood bits dropped on the floor, wood piles, and I also added in some hydrophone sounds. I'd got these recordings down at the beach, and this was using a hydrophone sort of buried under the sand a little bit and letting little pebbles sort of wash over the top of it. I cut out a lot of the high end on these sounds just because you could hear the sort of wishing and washing of the water running over it, but I thought it sounded quite good and sort of matched the scene a little bit with all the small sized boulders falling down. It didn't really sound like the massive boulders, it sort of sounded like the smaller ones. So after I was happy with how it sounded, I bounced out the rock impact and the rock fall and then put them into a sampler. So I quite like doing this, putting them into a sampler and resampling them again. I basically got my MIDI keyboard, played a couple of the keys, so the lower key would play the sound obviously in a lower pitch, and then the higher key would play at a higher pitch, but they'd also play at slightly different speeds. So if I plug this in now and show you. So here's the lower one. And here's the higher one. And now if I play a couple of them together, it sounds like you get even more rocks than there are. So if I play like 3 of them, like I've done on here. I felt it really helped build up like the weight of all the rocks, because when I had just the export that I had, it didn't really have as much low end as I wanted. So I did that, exported it and sort of faded it in with the original recording. So if I play those now. It has a lot more weight and body to it. I really like that. And I've done exactly the same with the Rock Impact. So I've done the same process, brought it into the sampler, played a couple of the keys. It doesn't really matter what keys you play. Played a couple of the keys and got this sound. And then that mixed with the other bit. Yeah, I was really enjoying that sound. That was pretty much it for the Rock Impacts, just an extra little bit. I didn't really want to have just the Rock Impact, so I got a couple of other recordings that I had of cymbals and swooshes and blended them in. So I got him winding up his hammer and then smacking the rock fella in the head. So the cymbal impacts were using my crash cymbal that I have for my drum kit and just taking some pliers, smacking them, taking different objects and smacking them, but holding the cymbal in my hand so it was like a bit of a mute. So it just went kunk. So if I play that now, just the hammer hit. And I also had a little bit of the hammer hit reversed into the other one, so it sort of swooshed into the sound. Here's the hammer whoosh. I've done this one really quickly. I think I've already thrown the bits and bobs in the bin. I took a cello bow that I had, whipped it aside like that, side to side, and it sort of sounded like the whooshing of him charging up the hammer. And then I took, it's here. I took this little cardboard tube and also went like that, just spinning it side to side. I don't know if it's picking up on the mic. So I'll play those two now. So it sort of charges up. I've got a couple more bits at the start. Quite a subtle little sound. I didn't go a bit overboard on that, but I just thought, might as well, as I'm here, might as well do it. And then now I've got those recordings as well. So if I play the whole thing for you again now, you can see how it all fitted together. I quite enjoyed doing this one. It was quite fun to go out and try and record some rock impacts down the woods. I did have to take a lot of equipment with me though, so the bag was quite heavy. But there was a couple of things that I've noticed that I could probably do in the future with some of these rock impacts, like taking a bucket down, tumbling more rocks down the hill, and maybe trying some really big boulders somewhere safe. I don't know if there's any quarries around that I can pop to and record. And I noticed that I thought I'd recorded a lot on the day, but probably should have got even more recordings. So I had like 20 in the end, 20 clips, and I could probably have done with like 50, 60 of them. It would have been a nightmare to edit, but just having the variety of rock impacts would have been great. But yeah, it was a good test to see what they would sound like and how they would come out. So I'll probably be doing a couple more there in the future. Anyway, thanks for sticking around and watching the video. If you liked the video, drop us a like or a subscribe, and leave any comments below if you've got any ideas for future videos, and if you've got any recordings and stuff that you made, I'd love to check them out. And I post a bit more on my Instagram account, a couple more reels and different bits and bobs of things that I've been up to, like within a couple of days, because these videos take a little longer to make, so you can see usually where I'm up to date with on my Instagram account. So yeah, give that one a follow if you fancy it. Anyway, cheers, I'll see you next time.